Hello and welcome back to another Royal Reviewer transmission. I am back after about a week off, and oh my goodness, there have been so many coronation updates. I did say that closer to the time we would get a plethora of updates and information coming out. We are being drip fed. So I want to wind back to last week when we had the coronation announcement. Now, the invitation, I should say, actually, the coronation invitation actually told us more than what it just literally says in terms of being an invitation, because for the first time, it refers officially, or it kind of indicates to what Camilla will be known as after the coronation. And as I said before, I thought that the Queen Consort, sort of officially calling her the Queen Consort, but it's not an official title. I've been through all this before. I always said they would drop it after the coronation. So the invitation reads, and it is a very beautiful invitation. I'll talk more about the design in a moment, but it says the coronation of their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla. There we have it, for the first time being referenced as Queen Camilla. So that is undoubtedly what she will be known as post-coronation. She will always be a Queen Consort, but she is Queen Camilla, although not a regnant sovereign. So by command of the King, Buckingham Palace is pleased to share the invitation for the coronation, which will be issued in due course to over 2,000 guests. Now let's not forget that has been scaled back from the late Queen's coronation. Everything has been almost a little bit reduced and changed for and adapted for the modern era. Who will form the congregation in Westminster Abbey. It has also announced today that 8 pages of honour have been chosen to attend their Majesties during the coronation service, and of course one of those is Prince George. So this is the official duty or role that we thought maybe Prince George might have. Now, of course, being 9 years old, he is old enough to do it, but he is on the young age. Most sort of former pages of honour have been kind of 11, 12, 13, that kind of age. So 9 is still young, but they must have, classed him able to fulfill that role. So the invitation itself is extremely beautiful. I will be showing pictures all the way through whilst I'm talking at the moment. And of course, it is full of symbolism. All of the emblems and the flowers, they all mean something. And of course, it's very tailored to the current monarch, Charles, who is very much into wildlife, the ecology, conservation, and this very much reflects his personality, which I think anything to do with a coronation should reflect the monarch that is going to be crowned. By the way, coronated is not a word. I actually quite like the word coronated. In fact, I think I've used it myself in the past, but no, the official proper word is it's a coronation and the king is going to be crowned. So coronated is not a word officially, but I actually quite like it. Anyway, I will try to refrain from saying coronated. So the coronation of their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla by command of the King, the Earl Marshal is directed to invite, and that is where the name is inserted, to be present at the Abbey Church of Westminster on the 6th day of May 2023. There we go. It is less than a month away. My goodness. The invitation for the coronation has been designed by Andrew Jameson, and there are lots of chivalric themes. Mr. Jameson is a brother of the Art Workers Guild, of which the King is an honorary member. The original artwork for the invitation was hand-painted in watercolour and gouache, I think that is pronounced. And the design will be reproduced and printed on recycled card with gold foil detailing. Central to the design is the motif of the Green Man, an ancient figure from the British folklore, symbolic of spring and rebirth to celebrate the new reign. The shape of the Green Man, crowned in natural foliage, is formed of leaves of oak, ivy and hawthorn, and the emblematic flowers of the United Kingdom. It's a very gorgeous, beautiful design that must have taken a long time to get this right and painstakingly hand paint. The British wildflower meadow bordering the invitation features lily of the valley, cornflowers, wild strawberries, dog roses, bluebells, and a sprig of rosemary for remembrance, together with wildlife including a bee, a butterfly, a ladybird, a wren, a robin. Flowers appear in groupings of 3, of course signifying the king becoming the 3rd monarch of his name. So everything is there for a purpose. Did you spot the groupings of 3? Did you spot all of those animals and all of those fauna and flora? The lion, a unicorn, and a boar, taken from the coats of arms of the monarch and Her Majesty's father, Major Bruchand, can be seen amongst the flowers. Her Majesty's arms are now enclosed by the Garter, following her installation as a Royal Lady of the Order of the Garter last summer. And there you can clearly see that Garter band. So it's beautiful. I love the invitation. I've seen mixed reviews about it on people's opinions on Twitter and social media. I actually really like it. I think it really reflects Charles as a monarch. I think people, myself included, I think in the early days of kind of thinking about how the coronation would pan out, we kind of get our heads wrapped around what it was 70 years ago. And of course, coronations do change. Of course, all of the really poignant, solemn elements are pretty much always the same. But in terms of, invitations and all that kind of thing, and how they are performed, they do change. And it has been 70 years since we've had a coronation. Times have changed. We are in a completely different world. So things that were appropriate 70 years ago might not be appropriate today. For example, we've had details of the coronation route. Now, 70 years ago, and before the late Queen Elizabeth's coronation, things were not televised, and because there wasn't TV around, and processional routes were actually longer so that more people could line the streets to see the procession go by. So having a shorter procession reflects modern day security, but also the fact that most people around the globe, remember this will have a global audience, will be watching on TV. So they don't need to physically line the streets. The atmosphere will be incredible if you are there, but you will definitely see more on the TV than stood stationary in one place, not really being able to move around. So yes, I think things are being changed and updated to reflect modern sensibilities. But I really, really like the design. Right, so moving on, we also have a new official portrait of the King and Queen. A tweet announced it. As the countdown to the coronation continues, a new photograph of the King and the Queen consort has been released. And as you can see, well, it was taken by Hugo Bernard. He was the photographer. It's a beautiful photo wearing blue, very much in line with the Wales. I keep saying the Cambridges, the Waleses, who like to use blue. But there we have Charles and Camilla wearing blue. Yeah, I think they look very, very happy. Now, I did have to zoom in slightly on the photo, and I was like, Camilla's skin looks absolutely amazing. Has she had something done that we don't know about? Because her skin looks absolutely glowing. Charles also looks really, really lovely in his gorgeous pinstripe suit. Yes, I think it's a really lovely portrait, I suppose, of them. And of course, I use portrait in the form of photography portrait. So I did speak a little bit about the procession. So on the morning of the 6th of May, their Majesties will travel from Buckingham Palace in the King's procession to Westminster Abbey in the Diamond Jubilee State Coach. Hello, Rory. So I did talk about this a few weeks ago where I'd heard rumours that the King was not going to use the massive gold state coach on the way to Westminster Abbey, but he would use it on the way back. Now, that actually has transpired. So we've had the announcement that the Diamond Jubilee state coach is going to be used. It's the most modern state coach. It's the most comfortable. It's got air conditioning. It's got heating. It's got a camera in the crown. That little crown on the top can hide a camera so it can record the processional route. So I imagine we will get some footage of that at some point. It's a much more comfortable ride, and of course Charles does have a slight back problem. He always has a cushion just to give him some lumbar support. So it kind of makes sense to me that they will use that carriage. I think it will be the more favoured carriage, but the Gold State coach, that amazing ornate design, will be used. It's huge. I mean, I have seen it in person. I've been to the Royal Mews. It's ginormous, and it's uncomfortable because it's leather sprung. So if you look at it, if you look at a picture of it, apparently it creaks as well. So it's magnificent, it's splendid, it weighs 4 ton, but it's uncomfortable. So yeah, when you look at them resplendent in their regalia on the return journey, just think how uncomfortable that ride is. So I think, concessions have been made maybe for Charles's little back issue. But it will look spectacular, but also it will have the impact of being a much grander return journey post crowning. So I actually think it's quite a good idea, to be quite honest. So let me just scroll down. The gilded crown on top of the Diamond Jubilee State coach was carved from oak from HMS Victory, and the coach's interior is inlaid with samples of wood, metals and other materials from buildings and places with specific connections to Britain and its history. Royal residences, including Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, Windsor Castle and the Palace of Holyrood House, cathedrals, including St Paul's and Westminster Abbey, and historic ships such as the Mary Rose. The coach will be drawn by 6 Windsor Greys, so it does draw a lot of history. The King's procession, accompanied by the Sovereign's escort of the Household Cavalry, will depart Buckingham Palace through the centre gate and proceed down the Mall, passing through Admiralty Arch and south of King Charles I Island, down Whitehall and along Parliament Street. The King's procession will travel around the east and south sides of Parliament Square to Broad Sanctuary to arrive at the sanctuary of Westminster Abbey, where the coronation service will begin at 11 o'clock. So if you wondered what time to be ready, 11 o'clock is that magic time. The procession from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace, the coronation procession, will be much larger in scale, taking the same route but in reverse. The coronation procession will include armed forces from across the Commonwealth and the British Overseas Territories and all services of the armed forces of the United Kingdom, alongside the Sovereign's bodyguard and royal watermen. Their Majesties will travel in the Gold State coach. The coach was last seen during the pageant of the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II in June 2022 and was commissioned in 1760. It was first used by King George III to travel to the state opening of Parliament in 1762. The coach has been used at every coronation since that of William IV in 1831. The coach will be drawn by 8 Windsor Greys and, due to its weight of 4 tons, will travel at walking pace. Upon returning to Buckingham Palace following the coronation service, their Majesties will receive a royal salute from the United Kingdom and Commonwealth Armed Forces who have been on parade that day. The royal salute will be followed by 3 cheers from the assembled service personnel as a tribute from the armed forces on parade to the King and the Queen Consort on the day of their Majesty's coronation. So, still on the website referring to Camilla currently as the Queen Consort. We all expect that to be completely dropped once Charles has been crowned. Also, lots of drip feeding about the regalia being used. Now, I had a book on the crown jewels from the Tower of London where they are kept back in the 90s. So I have always grown up reading about the regalia, and to actually see the full collection being used at a coronation for the first time in 70 years will be absolutely incredible. I suppose the heart of the regalia really is the golden St Edward's crown. So this crown is only worn ever by the monarch, as far as I'm aware, at the actual crowning moment. So Charles will be crowned with the St Edward's crown. It has been resized to fit his head. And then it will be swapped for the imperial state crown, which we see at the state openings of Parliament. He will hold the orb, he will hold his sceptre. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible the amount of glitz and glam that will be used. I will make, I think, a separate video talking all about the regalia, but because I think it will take too long to do it in this video. So we will move on, but I will flash a few pictures up of this incredible set of regalia. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the Easter Sunday service, and it is the first Easter Sunday service for Charles since becoming king. And they were all out. All of them, pretty much the majority of the major royals were out in force. I'm just going through some photos now of the arrivals to St George's. Now, I haven't long been to St George's. Literally, I think it was last month, literally about 5-6 weeks ago, I was at St George's and I walked where they've walked up and down. I made a point of standing there and going, this is where they walk up and down on all these really important moments at St George's. So I was quite overcome. I did make a vlog about my Windsor trip, so if you want to see the vlog, I will leave it linked. But yeah, I'm just looking now to photograph of the Waleses, and one thing that is incredibly striking is how much older and how much more grown up Prince George looks. I can see now why they thought that at 9 years old that he was fully capable of performing as a page of honour, of course holding the canopy of estate. Now, I'm hoping he will hold the canopy of estate. He could have another function as a page of honour, but we'll see. So George looking very much older. He looks, to me, in terms of looks, very much like his father when his father was that age. He's wearing a beautiful kind of blue suit again. The Wales is very much blue toned. It is their signature colour when you often see them in family groupings. Blue is often the theme. Prince Louis is still wearing shorts, and Princess Charlotte, I don't think, looks any older than when we last kind of saw her. She's wearing tights. Of course, Catherine, we know, likes tights on children. So Princess Charlotte is wearing tights and a princess coat, as I call it. Catherine herself is wearing a beautiful kind of blue pillbox, I think is the term for that hat. Of course, having her engagement ring on show. No brooch that I can see. No other kind of really discernible jewellery apart from, I think, her sapphire and diamond slight drop earrings. So we've got no major necklace or no Easter brooch. I was expecting maybe an Easter brooch. I mean, for example, the Queen's flower basket brooch would have been, the late Queen's flower basket brooch would have been really appropriate on Camilla, and potentially could have been lent for the occasion to Catherine. But no, they... And also, one thing I should notice as well is how much George is actually taking the lead. He's the one out in front. He's out in front. He looks very confident, and of course, that could come with a shift in position. Of course, now as Prince George of Wales rather than of Cambridge, he's at that age where he is now very much aware that his grandfather is the king. You know, he's going through a coronation. He's going to be involved in a coronation. So if he didn't know the importance of the family to which he belongs and his family's role within modern day Britain as a constitutional monarchy, he most certainly does now. I remember back to when I was 9 years old, I understood things like this. So I think he will be hyper aware of his place, and I think he will know that one day he will be king. I think he'll most certainly know that by now, and he'll be beginning to get his head around it. He knows now that his father is going to be the next king after his grandfather. So I think for George, this is quite a defining moment in his life. He will be seeing at the coronation his destiny playing out before him. So it's quite a poignant time for George, and also for Charlotte and for Louis. Maybe not so much Louis, he's still a bit young. But certainly for Charlotte, I think she will see her role. And of course, she'll be looking around the family and seeing the role of kind of Princess Anne, how she is with her grandfather, of course, Charles. And she'll see how Princess Anne is kind of supporting her brother, and I think she will be learning quite an early lesson that that is probably going to be her destiny, to support her brother. Like I say, Louis a little bit young, but he may be beginning to understand that. But George was certainly very confident. He also approached and was offering his hand to shake hands, so definitely confident. I mean, I would say confident, but not cocky. I don't think he doesn't look entitled. I think William and Catherine are doing a fantastic job instilling a sense of modesty and position and a sense of duty in the children. And I think that is showing when you look at them. You know, George is confident, which is a good thing for a future monarch, but he's not oversure of himself. So I think from what we see, is certainly in public, I think William and Catherine are doing a fantastic job of really negotiating this very tricky path through. Charles and Camilla, again, wearing blue. I think blue must have been the memo. Camilla is wearing a brooch and a nice, beautiful... I love her hats. Camilla's hats just look absolutely incredible. Charles looks very, very happy as well. I'm just looking at a big group shot of them arriving. Beatrice and Eugenie are there with their husbands. Of course, Princess Eugenie, very heavily pregnant at this point. Princess Beatrice, now, I think she's reworked this dress. It's had some detailing added to it. But again, looking rather gorgeous. I think it's looks like a pale pink in the photos. Princess Anne was walking side by Prince Andrew. Now, this was a big shock, I think. People weren't expecting to see Andrew there. Now, of course, this is, a family Easter occasion. But I think nothing is lost in terms of symbolism. This is a big occasion. The royals are out in force. Normally this time of year, royals could be scattered all over the country, but they really have come together for the first time, for Charles's first time as king with this Easter service. Anne, always dutiful, looks absolutely gorgeous. I imagine it's a recycled outfit, but she always looks good. She always has her own sense of style, and I love her hair. I really do. Her hair is completely iconic. Andrew, a surprise, but like I say, nothing is by chance. I think they are trying to integrate him slightly back, not into public life, but into private family life that could also be seen on the world stage. So, first stop, Easter Sunday service for Prince Andrew. Could he be involved in the coronation? I don't think he'll be involved in terms of having a duty or a role, but I think, I'm going to call it now. I think Andrew will be at the coronation. I can't see him not being. Now, Zara Tyndall, of course, was there wearing a beautiful pink outfit, looking rather gorgeous. The Edinburghs. Now, I love. Now, I couldn't see Lady Louise, so I'm not quite sure where Lady Louise is in these photos. But James, now Earl of Wessex, I keep wanting to say Viscount Severn, but he's Earl of Wessex, is very tall. He's very, very tall. I love the Duchess of Edinburgh's coat. It's gorgeous. And that top hat just really adds to the ensemble. I just love it. And those boots as well. So everyone looked very, very happy. It was a big, massive show of unity. Everyone smiling, waving. Like I say, I've been to that place. I've been to St George's not so long ago. And of course, they will, get a chance to see or, go to the spot now where Philip and Elizabeth are entombed, the George VI Memorial Chapel in St George's. I'm just looking now at the photographs. everyone just very, 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 very happy and gorgeous outfits. I wish I could have been there. So there we go. Tell me what you think about the Easter Sunday service and all the symbolism involved in it. So attention also, of course, has never been far away from Harry and Meghan in terms of will they, won't they attend the coronation. It's less than a month. Now, I don't know why, they haven't sort of said if they are or not going to attend. I know it's a private kind of invitation, so to speak, and I suppose no other royals have officially announced that they are going to attend. But with the amount of media speculation that there is about it, you would have thought, especially when they took the trouble to kind of announce that they hadn't quite decided yet. No, they announced that an invitation had been sent and that they were still working things out. If you go to that trouble to kind of say that you have been invited, then perhaps, to end speculation and take away the attention from yourself, you might want to just say whether you're going to attend or not. So far, we haven't had an official confirmation about that from the Sussexes. Now, of course, the coronation day is Prince Archie's birthday, and for a large chunk of that day, the Sussexes, if they do attend, wouldn't be able to be with Archie. He would have to be with Aminda and, of course, Lilibet as well. I think they could be invited back to the palace, but the children have been deemed too young by coronation organisers to be at the ceremony or even have any kind of role in it. But privately, back at the palace during the reception, I'm sure they could be potentially involved and reunited with their parents. But of course, being Archie's birthday, I still think, I'm going to call it now, I predict that Charles will, I suppose, acknowledge Archie's birthday. I think it will be round about 12 midnight, 1 midnight, an announcement, just like a Twitter post, a happy birthday Twitter post, and Instagram and social media might be made. Although they could wait until round about 5 or 6 in the morning and then start with all the coronation updates that will be posted throughout that day. So I think they will acknowledge, but I think the strategy, I predict, will be to make a fuss of Archie kind of a lot earlier, maybe 12, 12 o'clock midnight, 1 o'clock, some kind of embargoed press release, maybe a photo or something, or it could be sort of 5, 6, 7 o'clock before all the major coronation updates begin. That's how I think it will go, but of course, as with most royal watching, we have to just make our predictions, explore all the options, and then wait and see. The other option is that he doesn't mention Archie's birthday at all, but I don't think that will happen. I think they will acknowledge. But certainly, the Sussexes will not have a balcony appearance. They won't be involved. They won't be front and centre. So, yeah, we need to wait for the confirmation from the Sussexes of whether or not they will attend. We might not even get that. We might just literally see them or not see them, as the case may be, on May the 6th. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you. Before I go, I should mention the jewellery that I'm wearing. It's very pearl-based today. We have the Cambridge pearl. We have a double strand of pearls. It's not a replica pearl strand, but it is very indicative of what the late Queen might have worn. And we have Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara as well, which I've set quite low on my head, so I'm hoping you've been able to see it throughout this video. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.